Greetings, everyone! Lawrence from MBoss64 here, the King of Mondays. So today I bring you a new game, as per usual. But this game is something special. This game completely thrives off the inspiration of 3 other games. Now, before I begin, which you can already clearly see the name of it here, but before I begin, let me ask you 3 questions. Do you enjoy Zelda? Do you like that world exploration, 2D format, platforming roaming? Do you enjoy Dark Souls? Do you like dying constantly just to learn a lesson and resting at a bonfire, which is your only solace? Do you enjoy Diablo and the shit ton of loot that you get from that? Well, this game is a medley of those 3 games. It takes the aspects from Dark Souls, which is mostly, I'd have to say, the gameplay, and the mechanics even, of dying, you get 1 life, and then you come back. And then from Zelda, it takes the way like the old Zeldas used to look, the 2D ones, on the Game Boy and all those. And you're just roaming and wandering the world, you're exploring it. And then Diablo. I haven't played much of that, but I know that there's a shit ton of loot in that. And there is a lot of loot in this game. It is you get flooded with loot. So, as you can see, I'm joined by my friend here, as usual. And so, let's start. The game is called bitDungeon 2. It's fun to play and it's easy to learn. If you've played the other 3 games, you could probably learn it in like 2 minutes if you haven't played the other 3 games. But anyway, the mechanics, you got a bonfire, you have the side-scrolling world from 4 different directions, like in old Zelda. It's really simplistic, and it's done really well. And the gameplay, it's a button-mashing game, really. The moment you run into an enemy, you're just gonna like slam the spacebar, which is gonna drain your stamina, but it's gonna kill the enemy much faster. You run into the enemy to hit them, but you hit spacebar to use your special for that weapon. A weapon like this. This game is actually really short. You can probably beat it if you're good in like an hour. But if you're not that great and you want to like explore the world and grab all the loot, grab all the treasure, grab everything there is to offer in this world, then you can do that. And of course it'll expand how long the game is. And then there's the story. The story of this game is a little reminiscent of Dark Souls, because you get plopped into this world and you don't know what you're doing. All you can really gather is that you're a soul and everyone else is dead. Everyone is souls. And you start the game next to this other soul who's just asking you to take her to her grave, really. And that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to bring her to your grave. But when you die, you drop her soul. Her soul is basically your second chance. If you can't pick it up, then you're dead permanently and you need to start over. This is a permadeath. It's a little bit more cruel than, well, it would be more cruel than Dark Souls, because if Dark Souls made you start over all from the beginning again when you died, that would be an unplayable game. But this game is short, so it's really nice to, it's not nice to die, but when you die, it's not like it's that big of a mess and that much you have to go through. And it's not exactly slow to go through it either, but it's not that fast, depending on the type of build you want. Oh, and when you level up, and you can build your character, much like in Dark Souls, to any single thing you want. You can make it a tank, you can make it an assassin, you can do anything. Just about anything. But the story mostly comprises of you taking her soul to the grave and becoming strong enough to do it, I guess. You just gotta kill the enemies and open the gate to the grave. That's it, really, on the story. The graphics, It's a little familiar to Legend of Zelda, the 2D ones, the ones on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. And it's a little bit more chunky than that. Like, the pixels are a little bigger, everything's a little bit more expanded out. The world is a little smaller in this one, but still pretty grand, really. You're gonna get lost, because I don't think there's a map. I didn't find a map. Maybe you'll find a map. But the graphics are nice. There's not much color difference, because once you go into a region, the color of that region is basically the same. And there are, from what I can see, about 5 different regions. The 4 you need to go to, and then the final boss region. And they all vary. They all vary a lot from one another in those regions, but no region is really like a breath of fresh air in terms of color, because it's all kind of like this dreariness to the game. But it kind of fits with what the developer was going for, I suppose. You know, because Dark Souls is dreary, Diablo is a little dreary, and Legend of Zelda can get a little dreary at times depending on the place you go to. But that's really it. Sound, I don't know if I had the sound on, and if I did, I don't think there was much music. In terms of sounds and graphics, this game doesn't have... The graphics are simple. You know, the 16, 32-bit. I don't know what kind of bit. But the graphics are not a pain to look at, so it's not a bad design. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But this game is interesting. If you like these 3 types of game, you might still enjoy this game, because it's really fun to just kind of sit down and play this game. You could play it for a while until you maybe rage at it, but I don't know if you could actually rage at it because of how simplistic it is. There's one other thing I need to touch on about this game, is the weapons. The different types of weapons change up your gameplay entirely. If there are weapons like this in the game where you can just tank through everything, you can probably one-shot it with these weapons. And if you build your character a little bit more flimsy, then you can get a katana. And with the katana, the special move on that is fantastic, because you disappear and then you just stab them right in the back and get criticals. Just criticals everywhere. And the stabs I didn't really have much fun with, because you just shoot magic, but you smack them with your staff if they get close, and you might die if you don't have a good staff. But that's all I really have to say on this game. It's a fun game. It really is. You should give it a try. Probably should. I would recommend it if you enjoy Legend of Zelda, Dark Souls, or Diablo. But if those aren't quite your thing, maybe find someone who's played it and, you know, watch it, see if you might enjoy it. But that's all I really have to say on this game. So, the King of Monday, saying goodbye. I hope you enjoy the rest of your days.